All right, on to our third evaluator of the evening, Nick Dewey.
Okay, everybody, and thank you very much, Mr. Toastmaster. Today, I've got the great pleasure of introducing Enca, who is our third speaker of today. And we've got an interesting speech. This is from Persuasive Influence number 2, High Performance Leadership. The description of the project is to deliver a speech to share the experience of developing and completing the plan for a project that was completed with a team of at least 3 other members, which sounds like a bit of a mouthful. But the name of the speech is Toastmasters After COVID-19, which I think will be a lovely speech about us transitioning to something bigger and better. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Nick. Please welcome Enca.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. What's going to happen after COVID-19, after lockdown? How are we going to run our Toastmasters meetings? How are we going to transition? What do we need? Have you asked that question to yourself? I know Nick asked that question today. I did as well, back in April. And actually, Andrea has given me the perfect transition talk to introduce a project. So I decided to do my high performance leadership project to transition, to look at how to transition to our face-to-face meetings, or how to transition and exit lockdown. And I'm going to share with you my screen because I've got a presentation. I think it was better to show this as a presentation. 2 or 3 weeks ago, I introduced my high performance leadership project. And the project is a business continuity plan for witness speakers. Most of you know that I'm part of witness speakers as well. In the last 6 months, I've been helping Mary and the rest of the team setting up the club. And we were in a position where we could think of this transition to our next step. I introduced the purpose of a high performance leadership project in my previous speech, but I will remind you, because the purpose of doing this kind of projects for anyone is threefold. One is to apply your leadership and planning skills to develop a project plan. The second is to organize a guidance committee. And the third one, to conduct the project with the help of a team. But I remember Paul, who was evaluating my first speech, asking me to explain the benefits of such a project. So here we are. I'm sure there are more than 3, but I'm going to give you at least 3 benefits. One is that it makes you grow as a leader. Why? Because it allows you to articulate your vision. And to get followers, you need that team to follow your vision and to help you with the project. The second is that it makes you grow as a manager, because it gives you the opportunity to give directions and to delegate. It also gives you the opportunity to understand how to motivate others. And finally, the third one is that doing a project like this, it allows you to not only deliver a project, which has got a lot of technical issues, but it improves your communication, so you become a better communicator. You need to communicate with your guidance committee. You need to communicate the directions, the tasks must be really clear, and that to your team. And you need to communicate to your club what the project is about. My vision as a leader was to make witness speakers exit ready for when we leave lockdown. And you must ask, how are you going to do that? So I decided to make that happen by planning ahead and to use my high performance leadership project to get there. And also to make other clubs like Oxford Speakers to see the benefit of having a plan. Here it is. I got my followers. I assembled the guidance committee and the project team. Now, one of the very important things in a project is to define the scope. The scope of the project is going to be essential for the success of the project. One of the essential things, and it's got to be clear. The scope needs to tell you what the project is about, what is included in the project, but also what is not included in the project. So in this case, in my case, the project is to deliver a plan to facilitate the transition going out of lockdown. It doesn't mean that it doesn't include the implementation of the plan, and it doesn't include on purpose anything to do with online meetings, for example, improvement of online meetings. And the project had a timetable, a time scale, so we decided to do it in 5 weeks. Now I can show you that this is a very summarized project plan. This is what is called a Gantt chart. And as you can see, there are 3 phases of the project. The top one in blue is where we had the pre-planning or the pre-project planning, basically assembling the team. And once we had the team, we had the kickoff meeting, which is depicted here by the orange diamond on the 21st of April. And we gave ourselves 5 weeks. So during that meeting, we defined the scope clearly and we made rough plans of the project, which we then refined over the following few days. And after that, it was a question of executing the plan and reviewing and monitoring that plan until nearly the end, which is this week. Now, the milestone is the end of May, where I will be delivering the project, the plan for Witney Speakers. And this is the diamond in blue. Communication. We had progress meetings every single week with the project team. And I have been giving speeches to both clubs. And as you can see, the one in week 5 is the one today. I will then be delivering my last speech in Witney in a couple of weeks' time. So again, this is very simplistic, but it gives you an idea of how the project plans could look like. In reality, they have a lot more input and a lot more tasks and a lot more complication. And this is a very small project compared to others anyway. So what is the plan? Again, I'm going to give you an idea of what the plan has. The plan looks at 2 scenarios. One is the transition to face-to-face meetings. And the second one is the transition to face-to-face meetings with the opportunity to have video conferencing at the same time. And that we're going to call hybrid meetings. The plan gives a list of requirements and a list of actions to meet those requirements. What do we need to get ready for when we go back to either of those scenarios? But finally, the plan also supplies a tool to make a decision at the end and some recommendations. The list of requirements is long. I'm just going to give you an idea. This is not a non-exhaustive list, and I'm going to give you an idea of some of the aspects we've been looking at. We've been looking at the venue. So for example, the availability of the venue, the layout of the rooms, how to keep social distancing, devising on one-way system to circulate around the room. But we also looked at what's happening in the meetings, in the rooms. Are we going to have to supply hand sanitizer? Are we going to have to avoid using personal items like pens and not transferring it to one another? And obviously, we should avoid most of the time the paper that we have used in the rooms. Now, this is not difficult now because we've got a lot of documentation electronically, and we should carry on with that. The third thing that we have looked at, but it's not the only one, the only thing, is what is the technology requirements if we want to run hybrid meetings, and is the budget going to support that? And at the end, we have come up with 3 recommendations. The first one is the online meetings should continue if the government decides that only small gatherings are allowed. The second one is that we could move probably to face-to-face meetings if those gatherings are much larger, obviously depending on the government guidelines. And the third one is that actually the hybrid meetings are not recommended because they will be complicated to run, most likely won't work that well, and I don't think the budget will be able to afford it. So we have a business continuity plan for witness speakers. Now, what happens at the end of a project is that the project needs to be closed and lessons learned to be documented. Now, that is what I need to do in my last meeting with my team this week, but I haven't done it yet, so I can't present you with the lessons learned. What I can present you with is the next steps. What do I need to do now? Because this is just a draft plan. So what I need to do next is go to the committee and discuss 3 things. We need to put together actions, a number of actions, ready for our first face-to-face meeting, whenever that's going to happen. We don't know yet. The second one is to be able to review this plan, because as I said, it's a draft. And by the time we can go back to face-to-face, whenever that happens, things may change a little bit according to government guidelines. And the third one is that most likely we will need to put together, I would like to do that anyway, a calendar where we have our online meetings and then our face-to-face meetings, and then publicize that for all the members to be able to access that through the webpage or in emails. And that's it. We've got a business continuity plan. We know what we need to transition to the next phase. Thank you very much. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Union.